According to Thompson et al., in their article titled Conceptualizing and Measuring Collaboration, workspace collaboration is seen as a key mechanism for collective action, which involves individuals within and across organizations working together to address issues and solve problems that are too complex for any individual or organization to handle on its own, especially in the public sector where collaboration is crucial. Collaboration also confers additional benefits on the organization, like building trust and morale, reducing conflict, and increasing bonds within teams. However, there exist some barriers to collaboration, such as communication gaps, absence of supportive culture and open environment, lack of effective performance monitoring, and others. Now the question is, if collaboration is that essential, and there's a need for collective action in organizations, how then can we enhance collaboration in our organizations? I am Patience Hansen, and in this video, I will be discussing the topic, enhancing workspace collaboration with the use of collaboration tools and spaces. I'll be sharing some insights from some authors and some public sector leaders and managers on this topic. One way to enhance collaboration in an organization is through the use of collaboration tools and spaces. Collaboration tools are web-based and server-based tools that are characterized by their use for instant messaging, video and audio conferencing, information sharing, project management, and monitoring tasks. Some examples include Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Skype Business, Slack, Smartsheet, Gcolab, Jira, OneNote, as well as other social intranet platforms. Collaboration spaces, on the other hand, are generally ones that incorporate areas for teams to work together in a shared environment. There are different types and designs of collaborative spaces. Some have areas for co-working, and others have spaces for both co-working and solo booths for individuals to use, depending on the organization's preference and nature of operations. Collaboration spaces also can be virtual spaces via online collaboration platforms.
So I see it very much as a different way of working. So in the same ways that there's an active decision to put people in offices with doors that can then close, or to put people in cubicles where everybody's got a little space but it's a little bit more open. A collaboration center is essentially a different way of working. And each of those office types are supposed to be kind of specially designed for the types of work that a certain team is doing. Although, of course, so often people default to, office spaces or cubicles, depending it is, not a whole lot of thought goes into it. So that's kind of what a collaboration space is to me. It's another way of designing your physical workspace to achieve what you want to achieve.
Oftentimes, though, we were still doing very traditional ways of collaborating. We'd certainly have like regular meetings where we'd meet in person, but it was very much with an agenda, meeting minutes, presentations, discussion times, and then those circling back. And probably as you've seen, Patience, you've been involved with our branch, and you've seen then kind of what I always refer to as the pre-meeting work and the post-meeting work that happens. And so in that way, those were the collaborative tools that I was very familiar with and very accustomed to using. Even prior to coming into RIB, and when I did come into RIB, I had already been exploring the idea of telework, and so really learning different models and approaches to be collaborative while teleworking. And so then that's where things started to get a little bit more fun. So expanding those ideas from perhaps getting together with someone in a designated collaborative space.
As mentioned earlier, one of the barriers to collaboration is communication. How can people collaborate if they don't communicate? Some tasks are not an individual responsibility and require collective action. Collaboration spaces enhances communication in a team. People can share information freely without having to worry about sending emails or physically walking to a colleague's office. Collaboration tools also empowers employees to work together on projects from anywhere in the world. Lately, remote working conditions or even aspects of it have become common in today's workplace, especially during this time of COVID. According to Matthew Ethel, in their article titled Team Effectiveness, he states that technology advancements have allowed organizations to make greater use of virtual teams through collaboration tools. In fact, estimates suggest that 60% of professional workers work within virtual teams currently.
Part of the importance of having that collaboration is the skill building piece. By skill building, I mean you have different people with different skill sets coming together and pulling all our strengths together to make sure that there's progress on a particular project. So if you look at even a bigger or outside of a team, government folks do the same. When you're collaborating on something, you all come together and pull your strengths, right, to work on a piece of a project or to work on a problem to address it. So different pieces of strengths coming together. So that's the skill building part of it. The other is team building. When you collaborate, you build each other up, right? You're in the same space, you have the same goal, same purpose. And so it encourages team building. The other is that I call either in delivery or the innovative piece of it is when you're problem solving with folks or with other partners. It's easier to problem solve when you all have a common purpose, when you're all in the same space in terms of collaborating. So it makes it easier to problem solve because I can see my colleague right there and then we can ask the question. So it's easier and quicker, right? So you get to whatever you need to get to faster. It also lets you see the bigger picture rather than just what you're working on. So even if you take government as a whole, if you look outside our collaboration space, because within our collaboration space is the same thing. If we're working on a project and I have one piece of it and you have one piece of it and then somebody else has a piece of it, when you're in the same space, you tend to see the same picture, right? You see the bigger picture. You can plot it out on the whiteboard or whatever you want to. But if you're not there, it's the individual silos. So even with government, when you collaborate, you come together and you see the whole picture, you see a bigger picture. So if we're to work with social services or health or anything, if we have to collaborate with them on anything, they are not seeing only their portion of the issue, they're seeing the bigger picture of the individual, right? So it becomes the client focus, seeing the individual move through other systems rather than seeing it in a siloed individual spaces. So those are some of the importance of having the collaboration space or collaboration tools in an organization. It helps you build skill building, team building, the innovation piece or delivery, and seeing the bigger picture. One of the other things that I talked that's also related to the delivery, I think, is increased efficiency. And again, with collaboration, you can have online collaboration tools as well, right, which is useful for teams. And so one of those is Teams, Microsoft Teams. It provides you that opportunity to have that open collaboration, which will reduce some of the siloed or some of the individualistic approach to working. So that's one of the other tools that you can use. There are so many other platforms that you can use. The other thing about collaboration, and I think it's in one of your questions, and I'll get to it, is people can work from anywhere with the collaboration tools, right? People can work from different places, have different skills. So it doesn't limit the location and the skill because of these tools. An example would be if we had a good talent, if we're trying to pull talents together to collaborate on something, and we knew that there was someone in another location that would be beneficial to this particular project or would bring a lot to the table, but they are not in the same location, if we're using a collaborative tool like Teams or Skype or whatever it is, we could still have that talent on the team. Versus if you had to be a physical space office, then it's sort of hampers the location, becomes an issue, right? If someone is in Saskatoon or Manitoba, we couldn't have them on the team. But if you're using collaboration tools and the people don't need to be there, they can, collaborate remotely, which is one that we've seen the importance of, especially with this whole COVID thing. Is part of our team is in Saskatoon, some are in Moose Jaw, others are in Regina, and we still are able to get our work done because we use collaboration tool and the collaboration approach to our work.
The pooling of ideas and skills with ease via the use of collaboration tools and spaces between colleagues boosts morale. It increases accountability. It helps people learn from each other, and it also ensures a more well-rounded, successful product or service, not only within but also across organizations. McAfee et al., in their article titled The Dawn of Emergent Collaboration, suggests that collaboration tools like New Enterprise Social Platform, which he referred to as Enterprise 2.0, do not focus only on capturing information, but rather generating, sharing, refining information of practices and outputs of knowledge workers within and across organizations.
It's a very creative space. So when you have different types of seating and nobody's assigned and nothing looks the same day to day, it doesn't allow people to really get into a sense of absolute routine. There's always some sort of variation around that, and that leads to creativity. And particularly when you're dealing with systemic challenges, that creativity is absolutely key. Use it more for sharing documents and throwing out articles we've been seeing, and jointly working on different pieces of writing, because you can do that through Teams. We use it for social messaging. Lots of people have phones now. We use it for that type of thing. We send funny gifts all over the place. So by using the tool in that way, a little bit more expansive. Another thing that we're starting to do is starting to use the whiteboard feature. We're going to do that at our Christmas party and have a Pictionary competition. By using the tool in that way, that creates a culture around the tool, which is then useful for bonding as a team. So it's very much like the Collaboration Center. The Collaboration Center itself is another tool, a different way of doing things, a different design. And it's not so much about the physical thing, so much as how you use it. Something that works from a financial point of view, it actually makes sense. I did a bit of the financial analysis on this center because the options were either go and get new space that will accommodate 15 people because the current space only accommodated 6, or go to the Collaboration Center model, and it was way cheaper to go to the Collaboration Center model.
We've decided to have a collaboration space, a collaboration center as we call it, as our office space, and putting down all those walls and then having just one open space where we all work. Essentially that's key, because you don't want to have, although we have individuals and we have different personalities, we also work on problems or projects together. So we are a project or problem-based team. We all work on the same projects. Some traditional teams have individual people working on different projects. So for our team, all 14 of us work on the same project or the same problem. And so it's essential for us to be able to collaborate with one another, to know where each other is. It's been used in other places. It's not new. It's been done in other places. The private sector uses it as well. We will eventually run out of office spaces, right? So if you have 20 people on a team, do you have to get offices for all of them, or you break down the walls and make it a giant space for everyone? Facebook and Google and those places have used it. In Saskatchewan, I think SaskTel uses it. Ministry of Education has one that we saw. 3S Health also has a collaboration space that seems to be working for them. right now. They initially had said they saw a drop in productivity, but then it's leveled up and then it went up again. So again, it's a shift and a change. With our team, I don't know if productivity would be an issue. I'm not sure, because we've been working remotely for the most part since being a team, and so we only moved that into the collaboration space. But I think yes, they can do that. I would recommend to other leaders for them to look at that. If the team can work remotely, if it's a team that can be productive, outside of the office space, if it's a team that is project or problem based, all of them work on the things at the same time, then absolutely they can do that. And if it's a large team, that's you can't, it's a large team, you can do that as well. And then if the team has diverse people on the team from different places, or if the manager or the leader, if the leadership is like, we want talent on the team regardless of where they are coming from,
Right.
we want talent across the province, then collaboration tool is essential. You have to adopt that if you want to have talent and skills across. So collaboration tools are, like you said, we have Smartsheet, we have Teams, we also have OneNote, which is one of them, which is off of SharePoint. So you have SharePoint, you have all of these different tools or different platforms, and they really they leverage responsibilities and talents of each of our team. To ensure that we get to we are successful as a team. So by leveraging our responsibilities and talents, I mean, when you take Smartsheet, for instance, that's where we have all our projects. We plan all our projects in Smartsheet, right? And everyone is familiar with that Smartsheet. And so it enhances our process or it's efficient in a way that I can go to it anytime and provide my updates, provide information on there. I don't need to find somebody to ask them how something is going or where something is at, or pick a phone and do that. If when I go into Smartsheet, I can do that. So, and then the other thing is, all our conversations are around what we've put in the tool in Smartsheet. So when we have meetings, we talk about what we have in there, who's responsible for what, who's doing what, where are we, can we change anything? So it essentially becomes a day-to-day kind of tool that we use for our work. OneNote is also good. It's one of our collaboration tools that we use for brainstorming, for when we start a project, any ideas that we have, we throw it in OneNote. We create a photo, a page in OneNote, and we throw these ideas in OneNote. So I could go in and see what somebody has put on their certain project or where they are at, even if it's not my turn yet. So when the project gets to me, I'm able to know what has been done, what meetings have occurred, and there are records of meetings in there, records of what has been done. And so we all have access to it. And then the good thing is we can all work in it at the same time. Microsoft Teams is also like that. We can work in at the same time. We can revise the document. Someone can. So we had one project where Kate sent the document to us for review, quick review, and so and she needed. It was a quick turnaround time, right? So we all went in trying to work in it, and then you see who is working in it at what time. And so those are really great to have. So like I said, these tools only they leverage our responsibilities and the talents of the group to ensure that we are successful.
Patience that a collaboration space provides in terms of like lower cost is that we can actually hire people outside of Regina. And so when you think about cost for an employee who has to consider relocating to Regina for work, just as we had asked you initially, and then we're like, you know what, don't worry about it, just work work wherever. But it becomes a different type of cost, and that's the beauty of working in policy, right? Is because we can think of cost as something other than just dollars and cents. So there's a cost in terms of knowledge exchange that we lose out on when we limit ourselves to people that can only physically come to an office.
Right.
So we've got, the cost around, it's actually cheaper to have a shared workplace rather than traditional office doors and that sort of thing. We've worked with the SaskTel Collaboration Center. Advanced Education also has a collaboration center, and I was quite involved with, doing mini sorts of day-long working meetings in that space. And then when we were researching our own collaboration center, Scott and I were able to meet with like the private sector, as well as other government agencies that are starting to introduce collab centers. So those, our branch made good connections with SaskTel. They really were kind of pioneers in developing a collaborative workspace. And so we started learning about the capacity of that. And so, you know, that evolved. And then, yeah, with COVID just hitting us hard there, we were really fortunate to get Microsoft Teams. And what I'm learning is that we were one of the only branches that really adopted Microsoft Teams, like in its infancy. Other branches took it on later or didn't like it, you know. So those were, you know, that was definitely a tool that improved our productivity.
Like every other venture, there are pros and cons, of which this is no exception. Let us hear the challenges that is associated with collaboration tools and spaces.
So there are some teams that working in the same space might not work because of the nature of the work they do. They might need that kind of privacy. They might be meeting clients, right? And so we all can't be in the same space for confidentiality or for privacy or for whatever reason. You might also have a team where they won't be able to work remotely. You know, like the jails, they can't work remotely. So that's probably not a good idea for them.
Now, where a collaboration space doesn't work very well is when people have generally fairly siloed individual responsibilities. So a lot of policy branches work where only one person is responsible for one policy or is an expert in a certain area and you don't really work as a team. Or things like call centers, a lot of stuff in things like corporate services, it's all individual work. And for collaboration space, that type of environment doesn't work because it ends up becoming distracting. Because the reality is a collaboration center is distracting. So you want to make sure that it's creatively distracting, not inhibitively distracting. One of the things we had with our collaboration centers, we did go from everybody has an office to nobody has an office. And not only did we say nobody has an office, we said nobody even has an assigned space anymore. And at the early part of this, that was a big change for people. If your main option is I need to shove more people in this space and a collaboration center is a great way to do that, you're going to end up buying more problems than it's worth. Because what you're just going to have is a bunch of people who still aren't working together because the culture is not there. But now they're in a more confined space with more people and now they're distracted. When you're going down that road, you need to be prepared to have really good change management around it. Because there are going to be people who are angry at losing their offices. In fact, most of them probably will be. And some will probably leave. They're the ones who are going to be tied to their office, who see it as a hierarchical status symbol, who have been working that way for 20 years and really don't want to change. And when I was going through development of the collaboration space, I essentially said to myself, good. You know, because those are the types of people you don't want on the team that's in the collaboration center, because they're the ones that are going to hold you back, to put it bluntly. So when you put a whole lot of really passionate people in a room, like a collaboration center, and you say, okay, we got problems to solve, let's go at it. Fantastic for creativity, but if you don't have that grounding to actually turn that creativity into something practical and, you know, results oriented, you're just going to get a whole lot of people talking nonstop.
While that is super, super exciting, where productivity can be challenged in a collab workspace is, I was supposed to be doing an interview. I'm supposed to be doing hiring right now. Yeah. So I need to be focusing on some HR responsibilities. Right. But when my chats is going off with some really cool like information and research, which is more fun. So that's where, you know, in terms of being cautious around collaborative workspaces and work tools, that is one area where we have noticed some productivity challenges. when we interview people, we ask them, are you prepared to not have an office? So some people, and I know people who will not accept a job because they will no longer have a window in their office. So those aren't the people we want. In our branch, we want to bring in people who are most responsive to change and most flexible, because we are taking traditional thinking regarding the justice and correction system and turning them on their heads. So if we have someone that's more concerned about their desk, then they're not the right, and this job wouldn't fit for them either. So one of our competencies as out-of-scope leaders is innovation. That is a requirement of us in terms of being well-rounded leaders. And if we aren't being early adopters and being in rolling out different types of tools, then we aren't meeting our competencies. So that would be my point blank suggestion.
That's awesome.
And I guess the last part of it is, do some of the front work yourself, but let the team eventually take control. Once all that initial change management is done and people accept the fact that, yes, we're going this direction, and yes, Scott's made up his mind, there's no going back, and yes, we have approval, at some point, pass it off and say, okay, I want so-and-so to deal with furniture and so-and-so to deal with the technology, and you guys pick the colors, and hey, here's the plans, what do you guys think, all of that. Because the more input they have, the more they weigh into the decision and the details, the more they'll buy into the decision when it's actually up and running.
So there are different things you need to think about or consider, but I think ultimately it works and it's working right now. So I would definitely recommend it.
Now, inferring from all that has been said, and to affirm what Salas et al. Said in their article, which is titled, "Is There a Big Five in Teamwork?" They mentioned that collaboration offers greater adaptability, productivity, and creativity than any one individual can offer. It also provides more complex, innovative, and comprehensive solutions to organizational problems. In fact, research has also shown that collaboration increased by 50% during the pandemic. I know every organization is different, and I know operations differ. But the need for collaboration is like a common thread that weaves through all workspaces. Leaders and managers should explore the possibilities of adopting collaboration spaces and tools to enhance collaboration in their organization. However, one important thing to note is that finding a suitable collaboration space design and tool that fit your organizational need is very vital, bearing in mind that there are collaboration tools for just about every aspect or type of organization. So why not try it?